Hello and welcome back to Auto Social UK. I'm Tish and today I'm behind the wheel of the freshly facelifted CUPRA Leon Hatchback. This is the performance flagship for the hatchback range. This is the VZ3 with the 2-litre eTSI engine pushing out a very healthy 300 horsepower all through a 7-speed DSG gearbox. The CUPRA Leon has always been CUPRA's heartland hot hatch, but with this latest facelift, CUPRA is aiming to take it to the next level with updated looks, improved tech and sharper driving dynamics. Today I'll walk you through all of the updates across the full CUPRA Leon range, but then I'm really going to dive into what makes this VZ3 special, and that's how it drives, because let's be honest, that's what this version is all about. Today I found myself in a little bit of a pickle. I had no car to review for the usual Sunday upload. However, Group 1 Seat Cupra in Ipswich sprung into action and they very kindly offered up their spicy CUPRA Leon for review. A very lively, friendly and informative team. If you are in the market for a new Cupra or a Seat, then make sure you click the link down below in the description box to book in for a test drive with the team at Ipswich. If you mention my name, Auto Social or Tish, I'm sure that you'll be as looked after as I was, including huge savings on cars registered before September. And if you want to find out what this car is like to drive, as well as all the changes to the CUPRA Leon range, then please keep watching. And if you like new car reviews and car content, well, you're in the right place. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. First of all, however, I think we need to talk about the key specifications across the CUPRA Leon range. Now, when it comes to the CUPRA Leon lineup, it's actually pretty straightforward. It kicks things off with the V1 trim, and this starts at just over £31,000. It gives you all of the essentials, so you get LED headlights and a 12.9-inch infotainment screen. You also get plenty of sporty styling, but step up through the V2 and V3 and you gain things like bigger wheels. You also get upgraded interior trims and you get some more driver assistance tech. And then you've got the VZ models. This is where the real performance starts to come in. Available as either plug-in hybrids with up to 272 horsepower or as pure petrols with 300 horsepower like the one that I'm driving today. At the top of the tree sits this, the VZ3, which throws in all of the kit. You get the bucket seats, a panoramic opening sunroof and the full performance package. Under the bonnet, this CUPRA Leon VZ3 is powered by a 2-litre turbocharged petrol engine, producing a very healthy 300 horsepower and 400 Nm of torque, all sent through a 7-speed dual-clutch DSG gearbox to the front wheels. That means that 0 to 62 miles per hour takes just 5.7 seconds, and it will run to a limited top speed of 155 miles per hour. Despite the performance, CUPRA still quotes around 36 miles per gallon on the combined WLTP cycle, which is pretty respectable for a hot hatch with this much performance. Prices for this VZ3 hatchback start from £47,250 on the road. That puts it right in the mix with other 300 brake horsepower hot hatches on the market, of which there isn't very many. But it's worth pointing out that the CUPRA Leon range actually starts from just over £31,000, and one of the real sweet spots is the 1.5-litre eTSI engine with the DSG gearbox. This is priced from £33,800, and for me, this is the engine that strikes a brilliant balance between usable performance and excellent fuel economy, making it one of my personal favourites in the current Volkswagen and CUPRA lineup. Now, watch my Volkswagen Passat review, which I've linked above, to see how I managed to drive all the way to France and back and still have fuel to spare from that eTSI engine. So what's new for the exterior? Well, CUPRA has given the Leon a proper facelift. Up front, you're going to spot the new shark nose bonnet, triangular matrix LED headlights, and you also get the bold new grille, with the CUPRA badge now integrated onto the bonnet. At the rear, you also get a full width light bar with the CUPRA logo illuminated. It's a small touch, but it really makes a big difference and makes the CUPRA Leon stand out at night. The VZ3 spec that I'm driving sits on 19-inch forged alloy wheels. You also have side skirts which are finished in dark aluminum. There's a panoramic sunroof as standard, and it's aggressive, but it still manages to look sleek, especially compared to rivals like the Honda Civic Type R or perhaps the Hyundai i30N. I've always quite liked the exterior styling of the Cupras, but it's the interiors which I really think start to edge above the competition and even its brother, the GTI. Inside of here you get a lovely mix of materials. Sure, they can be a little bit cheap in places, so you do get some plastic across the dashboard, which is a real shame in a car with this price point. However, look aside of those details and it's really lovely. You get this leather wrap steering wheel perforated on the outside, and you also get a nice leather material across the dashboard as well. And although it has those materials like this kind of textured, almost carbon effect plastic in the centre, this is a young person's car. It's targeted towards a younger audience, and it just makes it a bit more interesting rather than just having boring materials inside. It lifts the cabin, so I definitely think it can be looked past. You've also got the copper detailing in the stitching which runs across the dashboard. You've also got it on the inside of the steering wheel, and you'll find it in details like on these seats, although these seats are so lovely. These are the bucket seats that you get in this VZ3 version. They feel really special. Once again, you've got a little bit of plastic in the centre, but aside from that, you've got such a mix of interesting materials. You've got kind of this Alcantara down the centre, leather on the outside, and then fabric down the middle, which I think is really practical. So if it gets hot, you're not going to get too hot and sticky on leather seats, and if it's cold, it's going to stop them from being so chilly as well. You've got embossed CUPRA logos on top of here. I just think they're a real combination of being practical, but also looking super sporty and interesting. They're also electrically adjusted, which I wasn't expecting. Now, this is a car which costs nearly or getting close to £50,000, so it's very expensive. But often when you find bucketed sports seats, they're usually manual, even in very expensive cars. So I'm really glad to see that these both have electric adjustments, and also you have some lumbar support as well, which is really good. The layout is also really lovely. It's very driver focused. This centre console actually comes up quite high, especially when you compare it to many hybrid or even electric vehicles nowadays. We're used to having this hollowed out, but I really like it. It gives that sense of engagement. And when you're going around corners, you're not going to be sliding because your knee simply touches on this centre console. Down this centre console, we've got little kind of cubby holes. We've got some wireless charging up front, a couple of USB-C chargers, and you have got your gear selector in the middle here. I don't particularly like this gear selector. I really hate the way that many brands have gone really simple with their gear selectors. I really like to have something a bit more engaging to use, but at least you do still have the paddles behind the steering wheel. And I also love the fact that CUPRA put both their drive mode buttons and CUPRA button and also their start button on the steering wheel as well. This does just give it a sporty touch, although you have to go for these higher spec models to be able to get those. Storage is okay, so you've got a little bit of storage in this armrest, but not a lot. You've got a couple of cup holders, but they're not exactly the easiest cup holders to use. If you've got a large bottle, then it's going to get in the way of your arm when you're using the gear selector. But these are really small, minimal issues which I don't think people who are driving this car are going to have. You also have this large infotainment system in the centre, which I've reviewed in many Volkswagen products. This is actually an updated version of the CUPRA system, and it's one of the best yet. Now on to the bit of the review that really matters, of course. How does this CUPRA Leon 300 drive? Well, the 2-litre TSI 300 feels seriously quick. 0 to 62 in under 6 seconds is proper hot hatch territory. And once you're rolling, that mid-range punch is huge. Many people have said that this car has that perfect balance of being fast but not intimidating, and I would definitely agree. Plus, it's just so nice to spend time with a petrol performance car. Their 7-speed DSG gearbox is sharp and snappy, especially in CUPRA mode, although in comfort it can be a touch eager to upshift. Personally, I'd have it in sport or normal mode most of the time, and of course you've still got the paddles if you really want to feel that engagement with this car. One of the Leon's standout features has got to be the VAQ electronic limited slip differential. It's brilliant at shuffling torque between the front axle, so even when you put your foot down hard out of a corner, there's very little scrabble for the grip, especially for a front-wheel drive car. That makes it more composed than many cars, including its brother, the Golf GTI Clubsport, though it's not quite as raw as a Honda Civic Type R. The adaptive chassis control gives you loads of flexibility. You can go from soft and compliant around town to properly stiff and locked in when the road gets a little bit more interesting like this. I have found the ride quite firm, but never crashy, and it's far more balanced than an i30N, but not quite as adaptable as perhaps the standard Golf. When it comes to the steering, at low speeds it's nice and light, but it wakes up nicely in CUPRA mode. It's precise and confidence inspiring, but maybe not brimming with feedback as compared to some of its rivals. And the sound, this is a bit controversial. So the Leon uses an active sound generator. So in CUPRA mode you get this deep bassy note that really fills the cabin and gives you a sense of excitement, but in any other mode it's just a little bit boring and quiet, especially when you start it up. You don't get that raw shake from the engine. But let's face it, if you're buying this car because you want something which is adaptable and you don't want to wake up the neighbours at 6 a.m, then you're probably going to like the fact that this has that adaptive kind of personality when it comes to the sound. And something that I haven't yet mentioned about the styling, you still have 4 physical quad tailpipes, which is very rare nowadays. Even performance cars have started to shed their quad exhausts, or at least have a couple of them fake. But these, you've got some proper exhausts, which I really love. Might not have the best sound, at least compared to some other previous generation rivals, but I still like the fact that it gives it a really sporty look. Now, inside of the boot, you get a real decent amount, but getting in there, that's the tricky part. What do I mean by that? Well, you would just think that it must be round here somewhere, or perhaps down here. But no, the boot release is actually located here, underneath the right rear light, which is very strange. But at least nobody's going to get into your boot when you don't want them to, and you can still use the key if you want to release it. Now, inside of here, if you go for the hatchback, you get 380 litres. It's nice and wide, but there is a bit of a lip, so that's a little bit of a shame. But you will fit plenty of shopping, suitcases for weekends away, and if you need even more space, then you go for the estate, which is still an option. And let's face it, if you have a choice of an estate, that's the one you're going to pick. And the same can be said for the rear of the car. If you're looking for the most amount of space, then you'd go for the estate. However, the hatchback is pretty impressive. I've got a really good amount of legroom. Now, these seats are quite hard on the back. These have carbon around the back of these bucket seats. So if you have got long legs, your knees are going to really hurt if they're pushed up against that. But you'd have to be pretty tall for your knees to be up against them. You'd need to be about 6 foot. But me being 5'5", I'm perfectly happy. I've got quite a good amount of headroom as well. Something I am really pleasantly surprised about in here is I've got rear seat ventilation and climate control. That's certainly not something that you get in many of this car's rivals, including the Honda Civic Type R or the Hyundai i30N. You also have 2 USB-C charge ports, you've got a pull-down armrest, a couple of cup holders, and you've also got some through loading to the boot as well. I'm not saying that it's class leading in the back here, but it is above average, and it's impressed me. Now, in terms of value for money, it's an interesting one because the VZ3 is in quite the position. At £47,250, it's certainly not cheap. But when you consider that some of its key rivals, like the Hyundai i30N or the Honda Civic Type R, they're no longer available to purchase in the UK. Its direct competition has all but disappeared. That leaves the Leon almost in a class of its own. And the good news is you don't actually have to go all the way up to this fully loaded VZ3 to get the same 300 horsepower performance. The engine is available in the VZ1 trim from £43,775, which makes it one of the best value ways to get into a true hot hatch right now. Compare that to the Volkswagen Golf GTI, which starts from around £44,000 but quickly climbs towards £48,000 once you spec in bigger wheels, bucket seats and premium audio, all things included as standard on the Leon VZ3. So whether you go for the entry-level VZ1 or the range-topping VZ3, the CUPRA Leon offers more kit and a bolder, more distinctive look for the money. So, what do I think of the new updated CUPRA Leon, specifically this VZ3 version? Well, I think it feels like CUPRA has really matured the Leon. It's more premium on the interior, it's sharper looking on the exterior, and with this version having 300 horsepower on tap, it's every bit the hot hatch that it promises to be. It might not have the absolute hardcore edge over something like the Honda Civic Type R, but it is more livable day to day, and in many ways this feels like a better all-rounder. Not to forget, you can actually buy one new. If you want a performance car which is fun, quick and still practical enough for family life, then this Leon Hatch VZ3 definitely makes a compelling case. Don't forget, however, if you did want the most competitive deals and some of the friendliest service, then make sure you head over to Group 1 Seat Cupra in Ipswich for your next car. I'll pop all of their details down below. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to Auto Social UK for more in-depth car reviews like this. And let me know in the comments down below, would you pick the CUPRA Leon over something like the Golf GTI Clubsport, or is there something else that you'd opt for? Let me know down below.